In a quiet village where smoke curls from crooked chimneys and fields sway beneath the watchful forest, a story begins. Not a tale of kings or knights, but of a young man, his faithful hound, and the path that will carry them into wonders and terrors alike. Ancient woods creak with the weight of secrets. Folklore steps from storybook margins into shadowed lanes. Creatures of mist and moonlight drift closer with each passing night, and beneath it all, a slow heartbeat of magic is waiting to be discovered. But magic is never gentle for long. It stirs the restless dead, bends the shape of beasts, and whispers bargains in the dark. It lingers in forgotten ruins and rides on the turning of seasons, calling those bold or desperate enough to seek it. The world does not yet know his name, nor does he know the burden of the path before him. Yet fate is already turning its gaze towards the cook's son with green eyes and fire-touched hair. This is where the story begins, when the ordinary world meets the extraordinary, and the first spark of legend catches flame. And once lit, such flames do not easily die. In a legend of the mist. Well, hi, hello, everybody. My name is Turk, and welcome back to the Grouch Couch. Welcome to One Guy, One Die, where I play solo TTRPGs, and other kinds of TTRPGs, solo. But as you've seen by the title, probably the thumbnail, today we're finally delving into my most hyped TTRPG of this year, 2025, The Legend in the Mist. I will be doing my absolute best to play and use the rules provided to us in the Legend of the Mist core book, so I will not be using any extra kind of oracles or any extra other solo supplement, at least to start. For the first couple of episodes, I'm going to try to play as close as I can to the book, and then after, things evolve as they always do. I also want to say here at the top, if you do see me using anything like the Legend in the Mist book, you can always use our links down in the description to pick up these things, and by doing so, it helps support the show. Thank you so much. Also at the top, I want to give a big shout out to Would Be Bard for allowing us to use their amazing music in this series here. If you want to check them out, I will have their YouTube channel or their SoundCloud links below, so you can check out their music, and maybe, hey, you can listen to their music while you play Legend of the Mist as well, because I feel like it just fits the vibe perfectly. Also, I do only have some concept art for our character today, as the Grouch Couch artist, Children of Proteus, is currently busy, so we don't have any cool character art to show off, but I will always put our artist link down in the description, so you can still check them out. They have their own comic book and their own Twitch channel, and they're just a great artist and a wonderful person. Also, today we're going to be playing digital. We're going to be playing with Foundry, and I will be doing my best to explain the rules, and we're going to be reading the rules and going through this slowly and playing through it together. So hopefully you might be able to learn a little bit of how to play this game solo yourself while we play. I do personally think this game would benefit from playing physical, especially with all the tags and the scene descriptions and stuff like that. Writing them down and stuff like that, playing physical, probably be a smart way to go, but currently I can't afford any of the physical books, so we're just playing digital, and that's okay. Now I'm going to do my best to try and release at least one episode of this solo actual play a week, but I don't have an exact posting schedule as it is, because I have started a new job, fingers crossed. But if you subscribe and hit the like button down there, hopefully YouTube might recommend you the next episode whenever it does release. So make sure to do that. And by liking the video, it actually shows me that you enjoyed the series, and the more likes that this series gets, the more episodes that I'll do. Now today's episode is mostly going to be talking about our character and talking about our setting and setting the scene for what is to come here in our story. It's not necessarily going to be a session zero, but it is going to kind of set the vibe and show you what we got going on to help prep you if you want to invest your time here in the series with me or not. And I will also say, I do my absolute best to include comments in all of my videos. You guys in the awesome community, you weirdos and couch crew out there, thank you so much for joining me. So if anything comes up in the story, any ideas that you might have, make sure to leave them in the comments. Even names of NPCs or ideas for story thread, make sure to leave them down there, because I always try to include them absolutely best that I can. So here we are in Foundry, and just so you know, there are two versions technically of Legend of the Mist for Foundry. One of them is a demo that a fan actually made during their Kickstarter process. I think that one is beautiful and amazing, but it's not fully updated, so we're not going to be using it today. What we're using today is actually the City of Mist. Technically, it's the Mist system that you can get on Foundry, and you can actually download a little extension thing that you click on to be able to use Legend in the Mist. If you go to our configure settings, you can actually go over here to City of Mist engine, and you can look at the game system and you turn on Legend of the Mist, and it kind of changes things a little bit for you. But as you can see, a lot of the things are still themed towards City of Mist, like this neon and stuff like that. I honestly don't like it. I don't know why the developers are doing it this way, but I'm not a developer, so I guess I don't really know. But here we are anyway. Today, my friends, we're talking about our character, and I'm really excited about this character. I was thinking about it, geez, for like a month. I've been prepping and just skimming over the source book like every other day, just like all the time, learning more and more about the system because I've been following this system for years, and I'm really happy to finally be here playing this system. I know the last full actual play I did was The Walking Dead, and that one performed really well. Probably a lot of you guys are here from that. Hello, thanks for joining. And this is a stark contrast from that system to this one. But I think the way that I play and the way that I describe things is actually going to fit really well for both. Anyways, I'm rambling. Let's talk about our character a little bit. Once again, ignore the art. It's concept art. Don't even look at it, okay? But this is Finnian Ash. Now, the reason that his last name is Ash is because Finnian is a bastard son. And bastards in the world that we are creating here for Legend of the Mist, one of the only lore pieces I've actually put together, is that bastards all share similar surnames depending on wherever they're located. So Ash is just a bastard last name. Much like in Game of Thrones, Snow was a bastard last name, so his last name is just Ash. That could have something to do with our village or where we're from. I'm not exactly sure yet. That being said, we put this character together to theme around him kind of being a bastard, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But one of the main things about Finnian, he's not necessarily a fighter. He's not a warrior. He's not a ranger, you know, he's not really a fighter. But what he is he's actually the son of a cook. And if you've ever watched my previous series, you'll know that I'm a fan of a good story that takes a normal person and throws them into a fantastical situation. So Finn is the son of a cook. His mother is actually the village's cook. So his skiller trade here, as we can see, is the son of a cook, and he has 2 positive tags, fishing and foraging, because I imagine him as being the son, his mother probably sent him out a lot to go and get supplies to be able to cook things, you know, for the village. So fishing and foraging is one that he has. Secondly, skilled hands is, I think, one that's going to come into play a lot, and his negative on his tag here is his unworldly palate. And I know that unworldly palate is kind of a negative one that might be hard to throw into play sometimes, but I have some fun ideas I think that might work. But the main thing about this skiller trade is that I love the idea of him just being the son of a cook, but because he's learned how to work with his hands so well on his adventures, all these things he learned from cooking is going to come into play and help him on these adventures, like being able to skin a fish and stuff like that. Maybe he got really good at deboning fish, and so now he's like, I'm actually really good at pulling those. Might be able to lockpick a little bit because I'm good with my hands, because I grew up using my hands, you know what I mean, baking bread and other kinds of stuff like that. So I love the idea of his normal guy skills coming into play and helping him out being a hero, right? Secondly, I wanted him to be super humble, because even though he's a bastard, he grew up in this village and was just kind of helping his mom and stuff. So his personality is that he's got a heart of gold. He's always got the best thoughts, you know, and he always wants to try and do the best for everybody. He's a very generous spirit. Now, I couldn't come up with good tags here that might be helpful on a long-term adventure. So generous spirit might change a little bit, because I feel like generous spirit and heart of gold are almost the same exact thing. So I might change it, but we'll see. We'll test it out when we get there. But also, being beloved in the village might come in handy later. If someone from outside of his village is in a different city and they see him, they might be able to help him out, or he might be able to say like, oh, I know that person over there. They'll say good things about me. It'll help him in persuasive situation. But his downfall on this is that he's very, very self-sacrificing. So he'll give up things just to help other people. I really kind of feel like that's the way to go. Like if he had a hammock to sleep in the forest, but he was with someone who had nothing, he'd probably sleep on the floor and let them use the hammock. You know what I mean? So his quest on this is to always offer kindness, even when the world is cruel towards him. Also, his quest on the skiller trade is to carry the warmth of the hearth into the wider world. And if you watched my video about solo playing this game, I think the quests in this should be real general. They should be quests that you could accomplish on multiple different kinds of roles to help you level up you know what I mean, quicker and evolve as a character. So being able to bring the hearth, so like if we find a stranger that's hungry, we could cook for them, and that's accomplishing this quest here. So the third one we're going to go over, before we go over to Bastard Son, is our faithful hound. Our faithful hound, his name is Patch, and he's our dog. He's like our family dog. We grew up with him. I think that Patch was probably a puppy whenever we were a kid, and so Patch has always kind of been around us. He's an adult dog at this point, which means if our story goes on long enough, there may be tragedy, but we love Patch. He's the best. We have Protective Guardian with our faithful hound. We also have Sees What You Don't, and these are two skills I think that are important. So Protective Guardian will help us with defense rolls, and Sees What You Don't will help us with perception rolls, or even standing guard at nighttime and stuff like that. But he's bound by love, and I even feel like we're bound together by love. So if Patch is ever in a risky situation, I think Finnian will probably be a little nervous about what's going on, and he might lose, you know what I mean, some points there. Lastly, his quest is that he will always protect his dog, and his dog will always protect him. So like, and that's just what it is, right? Lastly, and the most important one, this is our story driver for this first story. And I say first because if this goes well, I probably plan on using the Mist system to play a lot of other games, and this is the first time I've ever fully used the Mist system. I read a lot of City of Mist and I always wanted to play it with a group, but back then I really wasn't solo playing. I didn't really know how, and I would have solo played it back then because I was so interested in it, but I never got the opportunity to play it. So using the Mist system for Legend is kind of fun. Anyways, our first main driver is Bastard Son, and I've redone these tags like 3 or 4 times. But our main quest here is that we must uncover the truth of our bloodline. I think that Finn has always known, I mean, obviously that he's a bastard. He knows that he is, but he has no idea who his father is. And I feel like there's a good chance that Finn's father is somewhere in royalty. Of course, we're going to let the dice rolls in the story tell us more about that, because I don't know who his father is. He could be some undercover agent or some, you know what I mean, some other adventurer or something else like that. Just in my head, right away, I always think some kind of royalty, because that's what always happens in these kind of stories. But because of this, I put 2 kind of like mystery tags on this. He's got an unknown magic presence about him, which, first of all, I didn't want to get super complicated and delve into magic right away, but I wanted to have notes of magic in our world. Building a magical character is a little bit different, a little bit more complicated, and so I wanted to kind of keep it simple, stupid, for this. So he has unknown magic as a tag, like something might happen that's unexplainable to him. Also, he's weirdly lucky. For some reason, things just sometimes kind of work out for him. And I believe that to be connected with his father somehow. In what way, I'm not really sure. But his downfall in this is that people know that he's a bastard. He's an Ash, right? So when he's talking to people, if someone learns that he's a bastard, that's a negative tag that we're right away gonna. Now, when making a character, we also get to pick 1 item for our backpack. Finn has 0 weapons, and I thought it made sense to have this bone-handed knife. I hate that noise. I hate that noise so much. Do you guys hear this noise? I hate it. So I'm going to mute my recording noise just so you guys don't have to deal with it. But developer, I hate that noise. Just so you're aware. And it's when you click on anything. I already muted it so you guys can't hear it. Okay, but I hate that noise. When I was watching the tutorial, you have to watch a tutorial to set up this Foundry thing because it's so complicated. I kept hearing that noise and I just hate it. I hate it so much. All right, so moving on. A bone-handed knife is a knife, I believe, that our mother gave us when we were a kid and we finally decided to help her and start cooking. It was like the gift to her when we finally started helping her in the food shop / restaurant that she kind of runs here in our village. She gave us this knife, like, here you are, Finn, you know, congratulations for joining us, etc., etc. What is our mother's name? I don't really know. I have no idea. But that is our character. And I also just have a patch, like, token thing that we could use. It doesn't have anything on it, but we do have it. And that's it for Foundry. You also have to like right click on the token to bring up this character sheet. Very interesting stuff. But then whenever we want to roll, we can actually click here on whatever we want to do. So let's say our dog sees what we do and we're bound by love, so we can get like 2 +1s and a -1, and then we could actually do a quick roll. Sweet, that was pretty good. And then it's going to give us the outcome over here. So, and that's kind of one of the main reasons we're using Foundry, because it's going to help us do these tags easily. Also, whenever a tag happens, we can actually add them to the scene, so we can do any kind of different kind of statuses. So we can just say there's a negative thing happening in our scene, a -1, right? And then we can actually just click that, there's that noise again. And then let's say if we do the same thing, we could roll it again. There we go. And now we can see in the results here, we actually have the positive of 2, we actually have the negative of Bound by Love, and the negative of -1 from the scene itself. Okay, and that's a basic rundown of how we'll be rolling dice, and the basic rundown of our character, Finnian Ash. And I also do want to say, I love the idea of this character. Oh, can we talk about descriptions a little bit? Hold on, let's back up. Finnian Ash is a 20-year-old villager with tousled orange hair, bright green eyes, and a fair freckled face marked with short bearded stubble. I specifically wanted him to have orange hair because I feel like it's gonna kind of be a tall tale sign that he's a bastard of somebody. Like whenever we meet Finn's possible father, they might also have bright orange hair and green eyes. It might be like a big tell for us, right? To be able to dissect into that. So genetic descriptions that are like obvious. Secondly, he is the son of the village cook. Finn grew up gathering herbs, fishing in streams, and learning to nourish others with simple meals. Though branded with the bastard surname Ash, he carries himself with quiet resilience and an open heart. Known for his generosity and warmth, Finn is quick to share food or comfort, even when he has little. At his side is Patch, his loyal tricolor hound, as faithful as any kin. Beneath his apron and humble manner lies the whispered shadow of a noble bloodline, a truth he has yet to face. And they put noble in there, but he might not actually be noble. He could be the blood of something else, you know, there could be something else going on. I don't know, we're gonna let the dice tell us all about that. But that is our description. And I do want to say, as always, I love showing off art from the community. So if any scene ever happens or anything fun ever happens in the show and you want to do a little scribble of some art of it, please join our Discord and post it over there. There's a link to our Discord down in the description. Also, if you want to talk to me a little bit more intimately, not in a comment section, you can also join our Discord and we can talk more about things there. The link's down in the description. It's free to join. Free is free. And if you make art, I'll probably share it all over social media and promote your username because I love art of characters. Just saying. So thank you so much for that. Now we must talk a little bit about our opening scene. Where does our story begin? I believe that Finn is going to be going about his regular day, and something is going to happen to shake things up and cause him to leave his humble village and adventure out into the world. And for my story, in this world, magic is going to be kind of rare. It's going to be a little bit of a thing of whispers. People don't just walk around casting magic willy-nilly. It's kind of a rare substance. And also, in this world, mythical creatures are going to very much so be real. Finn might not know that because he's been in his village his whole life. But when he goes off on his adventures, he's going to stumble into these wild and mythical creatures and challenges, much like a lot of the art that comes in the Legend of the Mist book. There is so much fun and so many cool magical creatures that I really want to include in our story. I mean, even as a humble troll under a bridge, doesn't seem like a lot, but when it's put in this setting, it really could be. And I just kind of felt like that needed to be said. So let's set our first scene here before we do anything else. And a lot of times when I set my first scene, I don't really roll on descriptors. I kind of just, since I already have a lot in my head already, I kind of just start talking and see where things go. So to start, I don't have a name for Finn's home village. I have a name for a home village. Something that says mystical and Hollowmere. I like Hollowmere a lot. Let's put it in chat so you guys can see how it's do that. Hollowmere, thanks Finn. In the village of Hollowmere, I think it sits on the edge of a valley. Like it was built there by accident. But the people all kind of decided to stay. There are moss-patched cottages that almost lean into one another. They have thatched roofs, just slouching under years of rain. And I think smoke curls up from the lazily crooked chimneys coming off of the side of these houses. And it carries the smell of stew and wood smoke and old secrets all throughout this village. There are chickens. They scatter across the dirt lanes as carts creak by and wheels push into little puddles on the muddy roads. And children's laughter echoes off the stone walls that were built long before anybody can even remember. I think beyond the village, there's a forest that looms at the far edge, a tangle of dark burrow trees and whispering leaves that the elders of the village probably claim remember everything. And the bell of the village tolls, slow and heavy in the distance, not so much announcing the hour, but as reminding everyone that time has not forgotten, and that time continues to move forward. And in the midst of the quiet bustle stands Finnian Ash, of course, the cook's son, the bastard boy, with the fire in his hair and the green in his eyes. His apron smells faintly of fish broth. His mother's knife rests at his belt, and at his heel waits his dog, Patch, his faithful hound. And I think to most, he's just another villager's child. But the wind stirs. It stirs the wheat in the fields and rattles the church shutters, as if the village knows that Finnian's story has only just begun. And as our first scene opens, I imagine that Finn has just returned from gathering herbs and maybe even doing a little bit of fishing out in the forest for his mother for the start of the day, to get her what she needs to be able to cook and provide for the village. And as my first roll, before I even roll on an oracle, I want to see how well he did today. So we can do fishing and foraging and skilled hands. I mean, it's a beautiful day outside, so there's nothing in the scene that's hindering us. Everything is kind of normal. So this is just a super normal roll. Let's make a quick roll. Cool, that's a 9. The action unfolds as expected, or better. So on a 9, it's not a full success. It's like a half success, right? So you have just going to pull it up for us here. So as we can see, we count the action's power. So if we get a 7 to 9, we have a success and consequence, which is perfect. I think that he did a good job. He got everything that he needed, pulled up a couple of fish, got the adequate amount that he would need for the day, and he knows that. But what we're also going to do is we're going to roll on the consequence oracle, because in my mind, I can't think of a perfect consequence. Our story has just begun, right? What exactly would be the consequence of him every day not doing something exactly perfect? So what we can do is we can actually roll a D66 right here on the consequence order. And I'm going to pull the PDF up as much as I can so you can follow along and again learn to play how I am. And I also do kind of want to say that I might play a little bit different and there might be some rules that I might get wrong. And if that ever does happen, please make sure to let me know down in the comments, because this is the first time I've delved deep into the Myst system. So I'm also still kind of learning. So if there's something you see that I might have done wrong, make sure to drop it in the comments, because I would love to know, to improve, right? But also, I'm going to continue to, just kind of play the way that is fun for me. And I think same advice to you. If you don't know exactly how something is done, do it in a way that's fun, in a way that makes sense. Because when you're playing solo, you're playing with yourself, right? Giggity. Righteous. So let's roll a D66. That's a 53. If we click on it here, you could actually see 5, 3. Now D66 is just 2d6 put together. Also, let me make sure you can see my mouse. Capture. There we are. Now you can see. Cool. So 53 is loss of advantage. The hero lost an advantage they previously had or worked to achieve. Remove or reduce a hero's beneficial status or scratch their beneficial tags. Since it's the beginning, we haven't really received anything, but since I don't really know still, we can actually roll a d6 for this second little table. Let's go on ahead and that is a 2. Reduce hero positive status. We don't have any statuses. We could play this forward though. Like maybe our mother was going to give us some kind of benefit for the day for doing this for her, right? Maybe she was going to give us a couple golds to be able to go over to the market, maybe buy a couple things, a couple of treats for the dog or something like that. Now, because it's not exactly perfect, we can actually reduce what she was planning on giving it. So whenever we show up to the shop and we see our mother for the first time, I wonder what our mother looks like. She probably doesn't have red hair. I think the red hair is going to come from our father. So I think our mother probably has brown hair. She's probably kind of slender. She's also wearing an apron. She's got some gloves on and she's got some knives and she's just baking some bread for the day. I think she wears glasses. Maybe she has a nice little necklace around her neck. See, in most systems, I would ask a lot of these questions. I would say, does she have this? Does she have that? But since we're in this system, it's kind of a hard thing to guess. But what we could do, let's go over here to the question oracles. So in this system, you roll a yes or no answer, roll 2 6-sided dice and add your power. Power in this case treats any tags and statuses that could sway the answer to yes as a positive, and any tags and statuses that could sway it to a no as a negative. If the sum of both dice is double ones are always an extreme no, regardless of power, and double sixes are always an extreme yes. But 6 or less is no, 7 to 9 is complicated, and 10 or more is yes. So let's roll and practice. I have a question. Is our mother wearing like a necklace of importance? Maybe something that we've always seen her wearing. And I'm not going to add any tags or anything, so just 50-50. That's a 7. 7 to 9 is it's complicated. A yes with a caveat or a no with an exception. See, because I want to get to know our mother a little bit more because we're going to go on an adventure out of our village. And so I kind of want to know her a little bit more. But hey, first let's paint the scene of this food shop / bakery as we enter into it. I was getting a little bit ahead of myself. So I think in our little village, we can see the bakery probably near the village square. It's got stones all along it that are like blackened by years of heat, but they're not really, crumbling or anything. I think there's a wide brick oven that kind of bulges out from the back wall, and its chimney just puffing out a constant ribbon of smoke that probably smells like freshly baked bread and just herbs. And I think that smell is a huge comfort for Finn because he grew up around it. So once he gets closer and starts to smell it, he knows that he's home. And obviously the smell is going to lurk in other folk in the city before they even see. There's probably like a crooked sign above the door that has like a bread loaf carved into it. It's probably over time kind of worn smooth by the weather. And when Finn steps in carrying this bag of herbs and this bucket of fish, I think light just filters through. There's like small, probably like bubble glass windows and shelves stacked with round loaves and braided buns and sweet rolls that have all been dusted with flour like fresh snow and herbs all over them. It's probably a counter that has just nicks and scars from years of work, but I think the wood has been rubbed on this counter so often with oil that it kind of shines in its own kind of way. In the corner, probably a patched rug that softens the stone floor, probably where Patch, our dog, likes to curl up and nap, ears twitching whenever the bell above the door rings. He probably hops up from there. But I think behind the shop front, there are probably stairs that lead up to, I don't think it's a modest living space, but probably a small living space because she is a single mother where Finnian and his mother make their home. I think the ceiling's probably low and the beds are narrow and the walls are thin enough to let the smell of baking just creep into every blanket and shirt and piece of clothing that they own. And I think Finn knows that it isn't much, but when the oven glows and the laughter echoes in the kitchen and in the dining room, I think that he thinks this place feels more like a castle than a cottage, So when he steps inside and he's got a bucket of fish and a bag of herbs, he runs over to his mom. And I think they're close enough that he gives her a kiss on the cheek and she turns to him and she says, "Good morning, Finnian. Already after the early worm, are ya?" And he's like, "Yeah, Mom, just trying to start up early. But unfortunately, I didn't get as much today. I know as you wanted." Maybe she wanted more because there's like a village bake thing going on. Is there like, so I'm a add a +1 to it. Can I do, wondering how to do a positive scene tag here, because I just want to do a general positive scene tag and a general negative scene tag that I can always have up that I can just click, because I think that's kind of a smart thing to do. It keeps things a little bit, moving fast. So I'm gonna do some test rolls here. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so from what I've discovered, right clicking does positive and left clicking does negative, and you can see they have different colors. Right, so I want to ask a question is why I was setting that up. Is there something happening in the village today to make his mother want to have gotten more herbs and fish? Oh, I rolled 1d6. Hold on. Run that back. Here we go. 2d6. I'll see, but here's an issue because it didn't add in my +1 here. Do I have to do a quick roll with it? I guess that makes sense because it does the 2d6 for us. And then our +1 is in there. Cool. So that's an 8. What does that mean? So a 7 or 9 it's complicated. So yes with a caveat. So yes, there is some kind of village thing happening today, but maybe we have to do something to be able to get into it. So she's just prepping for it. Maybe like we need to, first off, we need to make sure that we have enough bread to be able to sell at this special market celebration that's happening in the village tonight. But maybe before we can even get entry to be able to have a market there tonight, maybe we have to bring something to the town elder. I think it'd be an elder. It wouldn't be like a mayor or anything like that. I think it'd probably be an elder. And so I think that's one of Finian's first tasks today, is to take something that his mother has baked early in the morning. So maybe that's why she's also up this early. And maybe that's why she needed the extra, because she spent the extra making the special thing. And so she needed to refill her stock. But so she turns to Finn and she goes, "Oh, sweetheart, well, it happens. Look, so since you couldn't get any extra today, I'm sorry I can't give you any extra gold today because we might not make that money back. But I can still give you your normal pay for today. And I need you to do one more favor for me today, sweetheart." And he goes, "Of course, Mom. What do you need? Anything." And I think she's like, "I need you to take this beautiful loaf of bread to the village elder. She's going to taste it, and she's going to let us know if our bread this year is good enough to be in tonight's celebration market." And he goes, "Okay." And I think she puts it in a bag and she ties it up and she gives it to him. So how many gold pieces we can roll? It's probably not a lot. It's a modest family. Does she give him every day? Let's roll a d4. 1. So he's hoping to get 2 gold, but today he only got 1. So really annoying, but I got it put in there. Gold times 1. I don't like the way this foundry thing is set up. I just don't. I'm just going to be honest with you. It could be so much better. Come on, Son of Oak. All right. I think there's probably one person or something working really hard on it, and I think that's, totally good. You've done a good job so far, but I've just seen what the potential of this could be, so I'm biased. All right, so we've got our 1 gold and our characters. So this is very much so rustic fantasy, and as you can tell, I hope to do fun descriptions of all the scenes we go into. It's going to be the funnest part for me, like describing the opening scene of the village and describing the bakery. So if that's something that you're interested in, you've come to the right place, for sure. And if you guys think I'm doing it too much or anything like that, make sure to give me some feedback in the comments. I would for sure appreciate it. Now, what I do want to say is I think this is a fun little opening bit. I do think. Yeah, this has been a good opener. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end this episode here because we talked about our character. We talked a lot about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I don't want this first episode to be too threatening for anyone looking to just get into the system. And I think this was a good opening to kind of show you what you're in store for. And if you want to continue with me on this adventure, this bastard adventure, I have no idea what to call this series here. If you have some ideas of the series, leave them below. If I haven't already come up with them yet, I have no idea. So thank you so much for joining me on this opening episode. Let me know if this is something you're interested in, or if you don't really like the theme thus far, and maybe you'll be interested in me playing Legend of Mist with a different character, because I do plan to do so. Also, if we come up with some fun ideas like this village and my setting that I kind of develop in this Legend of the Mist, and you want to play in this setting yourself, let me know, because I always try to take notes and I can send them over to you. And you can also join the Discord to let me know things that maybe your character has gotten into in this world that I'm playing in, and I might be able to include it in my story. We have a channel in the Discord called Campaign Chronicles, and you can just type up things that have happened to you, and I'll try to include them in mine as well. Just a lot of fun stuff. I love collaborating with friends and other Couch Crew members, so join the Couch Crew, hang out, let's have some fun, and I really do hope you enjoyed this episode. Couple of questions for you. What is our mother's name? Who is the elder? Because that's where we're going next. I think the next episode we're going to meet the elder, and then things are going to kick off from there. So let me know down below. And remember to use all our links down in the description. By doing that, it helps support the show. So thank you so much. And I should have an end screen that's going to shout out a couple of people that gave me super thanks and allowed me to be able to play lists. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to afford the PDF. So thank you so much for doing that. And also our YouTube member. I'm new to this whole world and I don't know how to do anything, but I just say thanks. Thank you. Appreciate that. But for now, my friends, take a seat on the couch and roll initiative. At least for a little while. Roll on that, weirdos. I'll see you next time.